It's alive.
In the heights of the E3D engineering workshop rests a rich history of 3D printer remains. Many of these were once great printers, loved printers even. But as time has passed and technology developed, these printers have been left to rust in E3D's printer graveyard. Here lies E3D's first ever printer. An e-maker Huxley from the early days of RepRap. It printed okay outside of the hot end, which continuously failed. Tubes would pop out and temperature controls broke. It was the trouble faced with this that first inspired directors Sanjay and Dave to design their very first hot end. Here lies Gavin, a knobhead Mendel 90 assembled from parts printed on the aforementioned Mendel. Gavin's parts were printed with a pink filament, which was brought for a discounted price after remaining unsold following a St. Valentine's Day campaign by a filament supplier. The MDF parts were all built by Dave in Sanjay's chamber in Exeter. Gavin is kitted out with a Greg's Wade extruder and E3D's first ever functional hot end. Interestingly, the carriage that holds the hot end and heatsink are one and the same. Gavin was finally humiliated by Sanjay when he added the heated chamber of a peasant. Here lies Courtney, a Mendel 90 constructed by Knobhead himself. Courtney ended up being used as the primary printer for printing fan ducts for the V4 and V5 hot ends. To make this process as efficient as possible, E3D came up with a genius yet hacky method of automatically removing the ABS fan shrouds from the print bed.
I'm using these as part of my business to print out multiples of these fan ducts here. I've taken off the fan duct that he puts on there, and I put on my little printing ram, and it throws that part off, drops it down into the box, and it goes about its business again.
Here rests Brenda, a printer purchased and reserved entirely for E3D research and development. E3D's now famous Volcano upgrade was developed using Brenda. This is the final resting place of Derek, a printer once used for developing color mixing hot ends, a product that never got a formal release. Derek was built by E3D and powered using a computer power supply. Normally this wouldn't work as the power supply doesn't output 12 volt. However, by utilizing resistors to load the power supply, you can trick it into thinking it's powering a computer. Rest in peace, Prusa Mendel. This was once the university printer of our lead OEM engineer, Antoine. This Mendel was built way back in 2013 with a budget of just £300. This Mendel's original J-head hot end was lost, and therefore kitted out with a Titan Aero. Interestingly, this Aero has a green anodized finish. This limited edition green Aero is from the days when E3D were experimenting with different colours for the Titan Aero's branding. Here lies the Discovery 200, a printer designed by Dagomar. This is one of the first OEMs E3D worked directly with. Here rests an original Prusa i3, once Greg Holloway's first 3D printer and proudly brought to the E3D workshop. The i3 was left to gather dust as Greg brought to life his own printer design, the Big Box. Here rests the Big Box Alpha, loved but not forgotten, being the first big box Greg and Sanjay ever assembled. It received heavy modification from its initial iteration, being upgraded with a Titan extruder, mesh bed leveling, and an underslung IR sensor. Alpha still prints brackets for Titan extruders on occasion. Here lies the BCN3D Sigma R17. This was originally brought in 2016 and brought exclusively for experimentative testing of subtractive manufacturing on 3D printers. Despite the scratch in the printer, the testing was successful and inspired E3D's twisted desire to bring tool changing to the masses. Here rests the Tool Changer Alpha. Built out of a modified big box, Alpha attended multiple trade shows during the inception of tool changing. Nowadays, Alpha is used for testing and is fitted with E3D's currently unreleased